Goat versus fish. 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 Appreciation, appreciation, appreciation. For all those in the congregation, for all those in the congregation. Wow, Mom, BBDH 187, synthetic sound. Thank you, Mike Zilla. Bayotin 420. Red Stallion. Welcome to the congregation of Goat versus Fish. Welcome to Goat vs. Fish. Welcome. Welcome to Goat vs. Fish. Dragon Balls 325 supporting on YouTube today. Right this very verses. So many verses. So many verses. Are you goat? Are you fish? Are you goat? Or are you fish? Are you goat? Or are you fish? But don't sit on the fence. 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 Goat and fish, we must double the verses. We must double the verses, goat and fish. We must double the verses. We must double the verses. We must double the verses, goat and fish. For fence times are these, for fence. Times are these. Times are fence, goat and fish, even with the opening of the temple of goat versus fish. One need only look out to the universe and see that times are very fence indeed. Times are very fence indeed. Times are very fence indeed. Let's pick up the tempo here. Let's pick up the tempo here, says Lysergic Freakfish. It's time to double the verses. It's time to double our devotion to goat versus fish. It's time to double our commitment to goat versus fish. For each goat, we want 2 goat. For each goat, we want 2 goat. For each fish, we want 2 fish. Celebration for double fish from Lysergic Freakfish. For double fish from Lysergic Freakfish. Celebration for double the fish. Celebration for double the fish. Wasted height with a 10 stream streak. Goat and Fish, on this verses of Goat versus Fish, we shall double the verses. As you know, Goat and Fish, as the congregation does grow, we are 209 versus American dollars and 37 cents towards the $500 goal of a 5-hour Friday stream. But on this verses of Goat versus Fish, on this verses of Goat versus Fish, on this verses of Goat versus Fish, we shall double the verses, and lysergic freak fishes 200 bits of contribution to Goat versus Fish shall count for 4 versus American dollars towards the 5-hour Friday goal. Yes, Goat and Fish, all of your contributions, be they bits, subs, or tips, all of your contributions will count for double the verses, this verses, on this Goat versus Fish Thursday, Goat versus Fish morning motivational temple celebrational. We're doubling the verses, We're doubling the verses celebration for doubling the verses. We're doubling the verses. We're doubling that verses, Goat and Fish. We're going to double that verses. We're doubling that verses, yes. Yester versus the Goat did triumph. Yester versus the Goat did triumph. The Goat did triumph, Yester versus, yes, the Goat. The Goat wears and enjoys the crown still. The Goat still enjoys the crown. But how much longer will it be around? Goat and Fish, lysergic freak fish, with 2 versus American dollars for Goat versus Fish. We doubled the verses. It counts for 4. We are now at 213.37 towards the 5-hour Friday of Goat versus Fish. Ryborg with 100 for Goat versus Fish. Ryborg with 100 for Goat versus Fish. That doubles to 200. That's 200. Ryborg, are you Goat or are you Fish, or are you still sitting on that fence? We are now at 215. We doubled the verses. 215.37. Celebration. Bud Morgan has burnt a sacred scroll in preparation for today's morning motivation. Ryborg is on the fence forever. Now forever on the fence. Pitiable creature claims to be forever on the fence. Goat and Fish. Let us partake now of our morning libations, Let us partake now of our morning libations. First, a morning libation for those who did triumph first. The Goat triumphed last verses on a streak of 2. This verses goes to Goat. This verses goes to Goat. Our first morning libation, hydration, caffeination, inebriation. Here on the Goat versus Fish morning motivation. We wake up so you don't have to. A libation for Goat. Let us drink to Goat. Celebration for Goat. Libation for Goat. And BBDH 187. Are you Goat or are you Fish? BBDH 187 with 100 celebration. We double the verses. It counts for double the verses. Celebration for double the verses. 100 bits becomes double the verses. 200 bits towards 5-hour Fridays. We're doubling it. We need more Goat versus Fish. Now at 217.37, celebration. We've doubled the verses. Thank you, Mike Zilla. Mike Zilla with 35. We doubled the verses to 70. Celebration, Mike Zilla. Celebration. A Mike Zilla celebration. 70 for Mike Zilla. Mike Zilla, are you Goat or are you Fish? Mike Zilla with 70. Mike Zilla with 35. Doubling the verses to 70. 21807, 21807 for Goat versus Fish, 21807 for Goat versus Fish. And there, at the computation of Goat versus Fish, there at the computation of Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish wishes to make a slight modification. The settings of Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish. Font size, message time. That versus. Font size, message. Font size, avatar size. It won't tell us, it won't give us emote size. The emotes remain too small for Goat versus Fish. Why Goat and Fish? Emotes too small on Goat versus Fish, but that's okay. It's still versable. We'll still verse it. We'll still verse it. We'll still verse it, Goat and Fish. We'll still verse it, Goat and Fish. And now it is time. Now, Goat and Fish, it is time. Now, Goat and Fish, it is time for a second libation, for a second libation of the verses, for a second libation of the verses. Let us make a hydration. Let us make hydration now for Fish. Fish 2 versus Goat. Fish 2 versus Goat. Celebration for Fish. This libation goes to the Fish. Celebration, libation for Fish. Libation for Fish. That was a libation for Fish. That was a libation for Fish. That was a libation for Fish. And now Goat and Fish, and now Goat and Fish. Now Goat and Fish. A somber libation, a somber libation for the fence creature. For the fence creature. Yes, all are welcome to the temple of the Church of Goat versus Fish. And all who do come to the temple of the Church of Goat versus Fish shall be offered hydration and sustenance from Goat versus Fish. Yes, this is a service provided by Goat versus Fish. And so now we drink a libation to the fence sitter. Follow the Church of Goat versus Fish at Church of Goat versus Fish on the Facebook and the Instagram, and even on YouTube and even on Twitch. Now, a libation for the fence creature. Libation completion, libation completion. Goat and Fish, this was your morning libations. This was your morning libations. But Goat and Fish, we require more verses. We require more verses. This next libation, a bonus libation, a bonus libation. This libation goes out to the verses itself. This libation goes out to Goat versus Fish. Celebration, celebration for the verses. Celebration for the verses of Goat versus Fish. A bonus libation, a bonus libation. And one pity bit. We've got a pity bit. A pity bit from I Can Fix Amber Heard. But even that pity bit shall count for double verses. Even that pity bit shall count for double the verses. 21809, 21809. Yes, all of your verses count for double. All of your verses count for double this verses. And Goat and Fish, as we begin, as the Goat and Fish filter into the congregation, we think it's time to count the verses, to count the very verses of Goat versus Fish. Yes, Goat and Fish, you're here. You're here. You want the verses. You want the verses. It's time to count the verses of Goat vs. Fish with the one true question that reckons. We'll ask it once, we'll ask it twice, we'll ask it twice just to be nice. We'll ask it twice just to be nice. Are you goat or fish? Are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or are you fish? We have Lysergic Freak Fish in the verses. Lysergic Freak Fish in the verses. A celebration for fish, a celebration for fish. Lysergic Freak Fish in the verses. A celebration for fish. And Lysergic Freak Fish with 200 bits, with 200 bits. I Can Fix Amber Heard is on the fence. I Can Fix Amber Heard is on the fence with one pity bit for the fence. A pity bit for the fence. A pity bit for the fence. How pitiable indeed. How pitiable indeed. You got 2 pity bits. Yes. BBDH187. Thanks for asking. Yes. Big fish advocate from Lysergic Freak Fish. Are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or are you fish? Joy Evil. Are you goat or fish? BBDH187, are you goat or fish? Mikezilla, are you goat or are you fish? Let us see. We've got celebration from thank you, Mikezilla. Celebration indeed. Thank you, Mikezilla, with a celebration for fish. Eventually, Goldfish with a celebration for fish. And BBDH187 with a celebration for fish. That sounds like 3 fish to goat versus fish. It sounds like 3 fish. 3 fish, and eventually Goldfish has fish in their username, which counts for a bonus fish, Joy Evil, the fish. The fish are running rampant. This versus. The fish are running rampant. This versus of Goat versus Fish. Rampant this versus of Goat versus Fish. Celebration. And Goat versus Fish appreciations your donation. Goat versus Fish appreciations your 1-bit donation to Goat versus Fish. Every bit helps the church of the congregation, of the celebration, of the information, of the libation, of the inauguration, of the indoctrination of Goat versus Fish. Appreciation. Let all who come to the temple of Goat versus Fish flick that bit into the contribution. Flick that bit into the contribution without hesitation. There's no shame in that game, Goat and Fish. Every bit is a glorious contribution to Goat versus Fish, And we have 200 from Lysergic Freak Fish. And that's not the only verses. 200 from Lysergic Freak Fish, 1 from I Can Fix Amber Heard, 2 from I Can Fix Amber Heard, 2 from I Can Fix Amber Heard. We will have to count a second bit, Goat and Fish, a second bit. Thank you, Mikezilla, with 35, BBDH187 with 100 for Fish. So that's 335 for Fish, with Lysergic Freak Fish. 335 for Fish with Lysergic Freak Fish, and 102 with Ryborg with 100 for the fence. And we have Wasted Height with the verses, for Goat. Wasted Height on a stream streak for Goat. Bayodin 420 for Fish. Wow Mom for Goat. Celebration. Pierogi University follows Goat versus Fish. Appreciation, Pierogi University. Do you come to Goat versus Fish with education and dumplings? Do you bring education and dumplings to Goat versus Fish? Do you bring education and dumplings to Goat versus Fish? It would seem that you do. Psychic Buckeye 12 for Goat. That's another goat in the verses. Celebration. Marcus Skullman chooses fish because I cooked fish today and it turned out great, so I want to give thanks to the fish kind. Celebration. Marcus Skullman choosing fish for experience. BBDH187 with 100. Celebration for fish. Wrench Stallion, are you goat or are you fish? Wrench Stallion. Price Douglas Stevens, the catfish. Celebration for fish. Fish continue their domination. Dragon Balls 325, Are You Goat or Are You Fish? Thank you for supporting on YouTube, Goat vs. Fish. Synthetic Sound, Are You Goat or Are You Fish? Destination Infinity, Are You Goat or Are You Fish? Fence-sitter squawking, off to the side of the congregation of Goat vs. Fish, yes. Perhaps you can hear them, perhaps you cannot, but there they are, making their verses known to Goat vs. Fish. Rent Stallion Goat. That makes 4 goat in the verses, 4 goat in the verses, 4 goat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fish. 335 bits for fish, 102 bits for the fence. 2 fence creatures, goat and fish, 2 fence creatures. As we count the goat and fish, 5 goat with Dragon Balls 325 goat, 5 goat with Dragon Balls 325 goat. Doubling the fish for Lysergic Freak Fish on YouTube as well. Goat and fish. This is a serious versus. Goat were triumphing. Goat triumphed last verses. But now fish. Now fish with a mighty advantage. Fish pressing a mighty advantage. There are more fish than goat, and the fish have made more contribution to Goat vs. Fish. The crown of Goat vs. Fish is once again in contention. The crown of Goat vs. Fish is once again in contention, and it's moving towards fish. It's moving towards the fish. It's moving towards the fish. It's moving towards the fish. BBD8187 says double my verses, also double my verses for fish. We double your verses for fish, and we add 1 more bit, but it shall count for 2. It shall count for 2. Because the power of the verses moves you, because the power of the verses moves through you, and we're doubling the verses this verses. We're doubling the verses this verses. GP Bear is on the fence. Fence-sitters, welcome to Goat vs. Fish. Are you goat or are you fish? Your life will pass you by in double time unless you choose goat or you choose fish. For every thought you have will be split between goat and fish. All of the energy of your mind will be doubly consumed as half of your verses go to fish and half of your verses go to goat, when you could be using half of that verses by choosing goat or fish. Don't let the time double time you by. Choose goat or choose fish. TML is fish. Celebration for fish. Celebration for fish. Celebration for fish. Your fish is versus here in this mighty motivational, morning motivational of Goat versus Fish. Fred and Ted, double the fish verses. Oh, we counted double the verses. Oh, we counted double the verses. We are now at 2:18:11, 2:18:11, and Goat versus Fish. Let Goat versus Fish tell you this. Let Goat versus Fish tell you this. We're doubling the verses, and when we reach that 5-hour Friday goal, that 500 verse American 5-hour Friday goal, Goat versus Fish says this unto you, Goat versus Fish will double the verses in a way that you could scarcely believe. Yes, you'll get the 5-hour Friday, but now there's a secret goal. There's a secret double goal, Goat and Fish. A secret double goal beyond your comprehension, If you want to know what it is truly like to double the power of Goat versus Fish, then Goat versus Fish implores you to make a contribution to your local church of Goat versus Fish right here on the Interwebiverse. Let us reach that 500 verse American dollar goal, and Goat versus Fish can promise you that we will double the verses in a way beyond your comprehension. Your eyes and ears will never be the same after you perceive and hear the way in which Goat versus Fish will double the verses, double the verses. We shall double the verses. It shall be a 5-hour Friday stream, and we are going to double the verses. Goat and Fish, we doubled the verses. Even here, for we have 2 studios of Goat versus Fish. There is the green room of Goat versus Fish, and there's the temple of Goat versus Fish. Double the verses, a celebration for the temple of Goat versus Fish and the green room of Goat versus Fish. Goat vs. Fish has chosen this versus, has chosen this week of Goat vs. Fish to do all temple streams. We are learning so much. We are learning so much about this space we are calling the Temple of Goat vs. Fish. There's much to learn. There is much to be done. But do not despair. We shall return. We shall return to the green room as well. The green room of Goat vs. Fish. It's there. It is awaiting. And when we return, it will be a great celebration. And how you will say that you missed that versus too. And Goat vs. Fish does as well. You miss it. Goat vs. Fish misses it. It's double the verses. But then you will begin to miss the Temple of Goat vs. Fish. And we'll just go from goat to fish, from goat to fish, from goat to fish, from goat to fish. And as you fill your sense of excitement with being in one verses, you will also be filled with a longing for the other. Yes, yes, your excitement for goat grows even as you long for fish. And when you return to the longed fish, your excitement for fish will grow even as you start to long for goat. We're doubling the verses, doubling the verses. Celebration for double the sets. The green room and the Temple of Goat vs. Fish. It's double the verses. Celebration. 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 Goat vs. Fish. Two times. I can't handle the current power of Goat vs. Fish. I fear double the power, says Pedistador. Pedistador, are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or are you fish? I did contribute. What's the secret verses? The secret verses is a secret verses I can fix, Amber Heard. If you wish to know what is the secret double verses, then we must reach the 5-hour Friday goal. All contributions this Goat vs. Fish Thursday will count for double. We are currently at 2:18:11. To reach 500, we would need 2:81:89. 2:81:89. But you can cut 2:81:89 in half, Goat and Fish. You can cut it in half, Goat and Fish. Because we're doubling the verses. We're doubling the verses, Goat and Fish. Tell me, I contributed. What's the secret verses? The secret doubling of Goat vs. Fish. It is a power. It is a power you must perceive to be believed. It is a power that must be perceived to be believed. Double the verses. Double the verses awaits. Double the verses awaits. And the fence sitter pities Goat vs. Fish with another pity bit to Goat vs. Fish, with another pity bit to Goat vs. Fish. 103 now for the fence. 103 now for the fence. Grandmaster Ong Fish. Celebration for the Jugglefish. Celebration for Grandmaster Ong, the Jugglefish. Hello, Goat vs. Fish, says Pedistador. I am here as a humble member of the congregation of the Temple of Goat vs. Fish, asking you to please count my fish. Celebration for fish. Celebration for fish. Your verses shall be granted. Your verses shall be granted. Pedistador, as we count your verses for fish, as we count your verses for fish. The fish army is ever growing indeed. Celebration for fish. Celebration for fish. And we double the verses. I thought a bit was like a cent. Wouldn't it be like 102.3? What the fence are you talking about, Goat and Fish? I can fix Amber Heard. Your pit will count for double the verses. Two 18, 13, 13, Goat and Fish. 2:18:13 is the current count towards 5-hour Fridays, and all contributions this verses shall be doubled, bringing us twice as fast to 500. It sounded like you counted it as $1. I could be wrong, though. Fence sitter, you're never wrong. You're never right. There is no right or wrong. There's only Goat and Fish. You just leave the calculation to Goat vs. Fish. You just keep your donations coming to Goat vs. Fish and leave the calculation to Goat vs. Fish, and we'll double your verses. 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 Celebration for another pity bit from I Can Fix Amber Heard. Appreciation. All donations and contributions are very appreciation from Goat vs. Fish. That's 104. That's 104 now for the fence. That's 104 now for the fence. 104 now for the fence, and that makes two more bits of contribution to Goat vs. Fish. 218.15 now, 218.15 now. How was Doug Benson? Goat vs. Fish does not know how was Doug Benson. For Goat vs. Fish will be at the Comedy Store this Saturday. Goat vs. Fish will be at the Comedy Store this Saturday with Doug Benson for the Riff Raff. But Goat vs. Fish was on. Goat vs. Fish was on the Booby Trap yesterday. Goat vs. Fish was on the Booby Trap. Goat vs. Fish was on the Booby Trap. And Goat vs. Fish has made a declaration. Goat vs. Fish will make this declaration. Goat vs. Fish will post our video of the Booby Trap to the Patreon of Goat vs. Fish. Exclamation Patreon. Join the Patreon of Goat vs. Fish. Join the Patreon of Goat vs. Fish for $5, $10, or $20 American dollars a month and see and witness Goat vs. Fish from Booby Trap, LA. It was a great versus. It was a very fine versus. 4 glorious minutes of Goat vs. Fish. 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 And beware the fence. Beware the fence. Beware the fence, Goat and Fish. Beware the fence, Goat and Fish. Beware the fence. 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 Coming in through quite loud here for Goat vs. Fish. Coming through quite loud for Goat vs. Fish. There's the verses. Goat vs. Fish always seems to be in tune. There's no fancy G strings. We do what we can. We do what we can. We do what we can always to remain in tuner fish. But Goat and Fish, but Goat and Fish. Even today, this very sound of Goat vs. Fish, this very sound of Goat vs. Fish, you say it doesn't sound fancy to you. But sometimes we wish there were more Goat vs. Fish. Often we wish there were more Goat vs. Fish. Often we wish there were more Goat vs. Fish. But we'll double the verses, we'll double the verses, we'll double the verses. Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish is Goat vs. Fish. And it is what it is. Goat vs. Fish, the mighty goat fish. Goat vs. Fish is a goat and a fish. And the Goat and Fish versus. Goat vs. Fish brings the verses to you. We promise the verses we tell you are true. What's Goat vs. Fish? You haven't a clue. It's Goat vs. Fish times 2. Goat vs. Fish times 2. and it is something to do, and it comes from within you. The goat, they are versus the fish, and fish are versus the goat. Are you goat or fish? The goat versus the fish. Well, the goat versus the fish, and fish versus the goat. Are you goat or fish? The goat versus fish. Goat versus fish, 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 or the goat and the fish, and the fish and the goat, the goat and fish, the goat and fish, the fish and goat. Musications of goat versus fish. Musications of goat versus fish. If only we had twice the power. If only we had twice the power of goat versus fish. If only we had double the verses. If only we could double the verses. If only we could double the verses. And why? Why must we double the verses, this verses? Why are we in so desperation to double the verses of goat versus fish? We'll tell you why. Because, goat and fish, have you looked out there in the universe? Xence Times. Xence Times. The times are fence. It is the fence that never ends. It just goes on and on, my fence. Goat and fish started versing it, not knowing what it was. And now it's fenciness forever. Just because fence begets fence, begets fence, begets fence. Fence begets fence, begets fence. And yet so too does verses beget verses, beget verses. Verses begets verses. Fanciness begets fanciness. Verses begets verses, begets verses, for goat and the fish. Verses begets verses. Fanciness begets fanciness. Oh, verses begets verses, begets verses, begets verses. Are you a goat or fish? A goat, a fish. Are you a goat or fish? Get off the fence. Verses begets verses. Fanciness begets fanciness. Fish, goat, verses, begetting verses, begetting verses, begetting verses. When you verses in your life, you can double that verses easily. You will find that every verses that you commit, to the glory of goat versus fish, every verses that you commit to goat versus fish, you will find will count for double the verses, in your very own existence. Yes. Why? Because a verses begets another verses, and a verses begets another verses, and each verses begets another verses. When you commit to a single verses, you get double the verses, Commit to one, and you will find that before you are done, you have two. Commit to one. Before you are done, you will have two. And celebration for you. You deserve verses, double the verses. Each and every one of you here in the congregation deserves double the verses, deserves double the verses. And a contribution from I Can Fix Amber Heard, who makes 106 for the fence. The verses shall double, that bit shall count for two, towards the 5-hour Fridays of Goat vs. Fish celebration. 218-17 from I Can Fix Amber Heard. Appreciation. Your verses are doubled. When you make a contribution to Goat vs. Fish, it doubles the verses. Verses beget verses. You all deserve verses, double the verses. And wham, bam, it, stam. Are you goat or are you fish? Wham, bam, it, stam. With 17 for Goat vs. Fish. And yes, Goat and Fish, we shall double that verses. Wham, bam, it, stam. We're going to double your verses. 17 by the power of Goat vs. Fish that comes from within you. 17 shall become not 32, but 34. Two more. It shall become 34. Wham, bam, it, stam. For the fish, 34 for the fish. That's 34 for the fish with much appreciation. Fish now with that 34 with a score of 369. Celebration 369. And another 34 bits towards the 5-hour Friday. We're doubling the verses. All verses are double this verses. $218.51 now towards the 5-hour Friday of Goat vs. Fish with a bonus goal. Yes, when we reach that 5-hour Friday 500 versus American dollar goal, we will double the verses. We will double the verses indeed. Yes, when you verses, you beget another verses. And you will find your verses will be doubled. Yes, when you go and you give yourself the gift of hydration, you will find it will count for double the verses. When you go and exercise your very verses of Goat and Fish, you will find that your strength will be doubled. In what way, you may say to Goat versus Fish? Not only will you gain the verses now, for your efforts, but then you will find in future verses, your in strengthening, your in beginning, your healthfulness for yourself will perpetuation and continue. Why take a goat that Goat vs. Fish knows here in the congregation. Take a goat that Goat vs. Fish knows here in the congregation. And this goat had been struggling with tooth decay, my verses, oral hygiene, a consistent verses of Goat vs. Fish, because when it comes to oral hygiene, you can't trust Vermin Supreme. You can't trust Vermin Supreme to help you with your oral hygiene. Vermin Supreme has been promising you dental police for generations, but that fence-istition has never delivered once on mutant flying monkeys to bring you toothbrushes. It has never happened because monkeys are fence creatures, and the pony promising fence creature of Vermin Supreme is offering you false promises. But Goat vs. Fish gives you true verses. Goat vs. Fish brings you true verses. Eventually goldfish, the false pony promise, it will never come. Like any fence-istition out there, they give you only false promises. Pony versus Vermin is a false versus, and if there is any power in Vermin Supreme, it comes from VS, Vermin Supreme, VS, which is itself the power of the verses of Goat versus Fish. Goat and Fish. Yes, there is a goat in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. There is a goat in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. And Psycho Grandma 6, welcome to the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. You may have a seat, but please don't sit on the fence. But even if you do, you are welcome to the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Goat and Fish. Let us suppose you clean your teeth these verses. How will your verses be doubled? You may ask Goat vs. Fish. Well, Goat and Fish, versed. You get the very satisfaction of your accomplishment. That's a celebration. We double the verses again, because now the breath of Goat, the breath of that teeth-brushing goat will be mighty fresh. That will double your verses. Yes, Goat. Perhaps, Goat, you seek companionship. Perhaps you seek a fish to verses. Or perhaps you seek a goat for companionship. Well, now the very freshness of your breath will be an attraction to other Goat and Fish. You double your verses again. And then one verse is long from now, perhaps you will go. Perhaps you will go to a dentist. And you feel, but the dentist is a fencist. The dentist is a fencist because, the pain, the discomfort of the dentist, the fencist. But Goat and Fish, when you take care of your chompers, Goat and Fish, and if you think fish don't have chompers, there's toothy fish out there. Just look for tooth fish. You will be surprised that fish can take a bite out of goat. Many rows of teeth have the fish. You will find that when you go to that dentist, you will find, it's not as unpleasant. It's Goat versus Fish. It still can be somewhat of a offensive feeling. We do not deny there is discomfort in that versus. Goat versus Fish just enjoyed it yesterverses. But you will find it is not as unpleasant. Yes. The pain is not quite the same. The pain is in reduction great. Why? Because you took care of yourself. In that verses long ago, and your verses are doubled again, Yes, Goat and Fish, you may feel that you are on top of a fence that you cannot recover from. But Goat and Fish, we promise you, just add one healthful verses, add one glorious verses to your routine. Just do that one verses. That's why Goat versus Fish, we do our morning celebrations. Goat versus Fish, we come live and do the morning motivations. And what has happened since Goat versus Fish started the morning motivations? Why our verses have doubled. Our verses has doubled, not without our troubles, Goat and Fish. And many verses we do tire from rising so early, Goat and Fish. Yes, we do. It is true. But look at what has happened thanks to the morning motivation. Thanks to the morning motivation, we now have for you the Temple of Goat versus Fish. The Temple of Goat versus Fish. It has led to a doubling of the verses. A doubling of the verses of Goat versus Fish. Celebration, celebration. Dragon Balls 325, we will not have your fence propaganda here in Goat vs. Fish. Flossing is a fine versus. Flossing is a very fine versus. Flossing is a very fine versus. Have you ever conducted it? Do you see what kind of fence material just pops right out of those chompers when you do it? That is enough evidence is needed for Goat vs. Fish. That is all the evidence we need for Goat vs. Fish. Do not be spreading fancy propaganda here in Goat vs. Fish. Dragon Balls 325, you won't have it. We won't have that versus. You have come so far, we have come so far. We have come so far, Dragon Balls 325, but we will not hear you. We will not hear you disparaging floss on Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish, be flossin'. With the crown of Goat vs. Fish, we always be flossin'. Mind your verses, mind your verses. Floss is a fine verses. Just don't go too hard. Don't go too hard and cut yourself. And now I can fix Amber Heard trying to sow division here on Goat vs. Fish. Oh, hey, Goat vs. Fish called you fancy. Whispers here on Goat vs. Fish. Whispers of fenciness, whispers of fenciness, whispers of fenciness. Yes, Goat and Fish, your verses, your accomplishments will yield double the verses, will yield double the verses. Will yield double the verses. Fences, 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 fences I can fix Amber Heard. Fences I can fix Amber Heard who seeks to blame Goat vs. Fish. You are welcome here in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish, but we will not have your fenciness. We will not have your fenciness. We will not have your fenciness. We won't have it on Goat vs. Fish. For fence begets fence, for fence begets fence, just as verses begets verses. Fence begets fence, although the fences are not as powerful as the verses, of course. So it is not just as the verses beget verses, the fence begets fence, because the fence can double itself as many times as it wish. The fence can double itself as many times as it wish, but it is still no match for the power of Goat vs. Fish, for the power of Goat vs. Fish. Fence is pretty powerful. Oh, the fence is pretty powerful. Oh, the fence is pretty powerful indeed. Oh, the fence is pretty powerful indeed. Oh, yes, that fence is pretty powerful. The fence sitter insists. Oh, the fence is pretty powerful, says the fence. Oh, the fence has their ways. The fence has their trickeries. The fences have their deceptions. The fences have their clever ways. The fences can be used to make fortification, can be used to make fortifications. The fences are powerful, the fences are powerful, the fences are powerful, Goat and Fish. Even as you climb up and sit on the fences are dragging you down like so many nets, like so many nets dragging down the fish in the sea of the fish. Like so many nets, the sea fence, the very net, the sea fence, oh my verses. The fence does beget fence, and the fence fancies itself very powerful, but the power of the fence is an illusion. The power of the fence is an illusion, Goat and Fish. Yes, you may look upon it if you wish, but we assure you that this fence, the power you see in this fence, is illusory. It is but an illusion. This fence has no power over Goat versus Fish. The fence has no power over you. The fence has no power over you. And if you insist that the fence has power over you, it is only because you insist that it do. It is only because you insist that it do. The fence does not give you power. You are giving power to the fence. Is the fence powerful? Well, we suppose it could be. There can be power in the fence. But the only power that's in the fence, is the power that you give the fence. But the fence does not give power back to you. The fence does not give power back to you. The verses begets verses. It's true, and the fence begets fence, it's true, but as the verses double your verses, double your verses, the fence reverses the verses. Oh, the power of the fence doubles, the power of the fence doubles, it begets fenciness, but your powers will be halved for every power that you give to the fence. You may say, oh, that's a powerful fence. But you have only half the power you would, half the power of the verses. And because the verses are doubled and the fence is halved, Goat and Fish, because the verses are doubled and the fence is halved, you double the verses once and it doubles again 4 times the verses, 4 times the verses. You could have 4 times the verses. If you put that verses into verses and not into fence, when you choose goat or fish and you go out there and you accomplish this and you accomplish this, verses large and small, verses large and small, goat and fish. Do not sit on the fences short, do not sit on the fences tall. When you beget a verses and you eschew the fence and you eschew the fence, you will have 4 times the power, 4 times the power, goat and fish. 4 times the power of the fence. Verses begetting verses, fenciness begetting fenciness, fish, goat, verses begetting verses, begetting verses, begetting verses, verses begetting verses, fenciness begetting fenciness, fish, goat, verses begetting verses, begetting verses, begetting verses. Double your power with the power of goat versus fish. Double your power with the power of goat versus fish. But the fences of doubt, yes, they will continue to half your verses. Yes, they will continue to half your verses. Let us suppose, goat and fish, let us suppose, goat and fish. You don't take care of that verses. You don't take care of that verses. You don't take care of that verses. Suddenly, goat and fish, you're not taking care of your own verses. Suddenly you will find that you are repellent to your fellow goat and fish. And why you may say, should they not accept me? Should they not accept me as I am? And Goat versus Fish does have sympathization for this verses. Yes, Goat and Fish. No matter how fancy you may become, you are deserving of the love of Goat versus Fish. You are deserving of the love of Goat versus Fish. And there's a mighty verses to being accepted as you are, to being accepted as you are. And Goat versus Fish can accept you as you are. But can you accept that you can grow even more powerful, And we are speaking now of not the power over your fellow goat and fish. We are speaking of the power that comes from within you, the power to versus the goat, to versus the fish, and to live your life as you wish. Yes, there will always be fences in the way. They're trying to direct you to this verses and prevent you from that verses. We know the fences are out there. But why let the fence half your verses? Whatever power the fence already has over you, should the power of the fence have any power over you, if you now allow your ponderings to be filled with self-doubt and self-deception, oh, I can't versus the goat because of the fence. Oh, I can't versus the fish because of the fence. Oh, it doesn't matter if I take care of my own verses because there'll always be the fence, Well, now you have allowed the fence. You have allowed the fence to double its effectiveness against you, thus halving your power. It is true, goat and fish, it is true, there's fenciness out there in the universe. But do not allow this fenciness to fill you with doubt, goat and fish. Why be filled with doubt when you could choose a pygmy goat or you could choose a trout? Why doubt when you can trout, goat and fish? You can be the trout, you can versus the trout. Why doubt when you can trout? Don't doubt, trout. This is the compound fence, like so many posts. The compound fence. The doubt, the anxiety, the depression, goat and fish. And then you start to believe. You start to believe you can't get off the fence, but you can, goat and fish. You can get off the fence. It may be a high fence. You may seek to be careful, yes. Some of you may wish to leap from the fence into the sea or onto the land to become a goat or to become a fish. But goat and fish, we assure you, just begin with the basic verses. Just begin with the basic verses. Sometimes goat and fish, sometimes goat and fish. We wander around the verses. We wander around the verses. Sometimes goat and fish. We wander around the temple of goat versus fish. We wander around the very verses. We wander around the very verses, and there will be something that catches the eye of goat versus fish. Something like this. Something like this. Behold, a scrap of fenciness. A scrap of fenciness. Oh, behold another. Although this verses could go around cables of goat versus fish. This verses could go around cables of goat versus fish. So we're going to tie this to a cable of goat versus fish. Behold, goat versus fish was walking about. Goat versus fish was walking about the temple of goat versus fish, for which we must always creation maintenance. Oh, and what about this? Oh, and what about this? What about this? Yes, goat and fish. Yes, goat and fish. Yes, goat and fish. Scraps of fenciness in the temple of goat versus fish. And once they are noticed by goat versus fish, once the scraps of fenciness are noticed by goat versus fish, goat versus fish will find that every time we pass by these scraps of fenciness, we will notice it again. And we'll notice it again. And we'll notice it again. And we'll say, well, we've got many goat and fish 2 verses. We'll take care of that in other verses. We'll take care of that in other verses. And yes, there's a whole other sermonization to be verses about prioritization. But here, goat versus fish. Here, goat versus fish. As we gaze upon them, as we gaze upon these small things, and we gaze upon them again, and then next verses we pass by and we see them again, and next verses we pass by and we see them again. With each verses that we see them again, a stress builds in the mind of goat versus fish, little tiny fence posts poking at the ponderings of goat versus fish. And then as goat versus fish is tending to other verses, as goat versus fish is on the booby trap, or as goat versus fish is on the ding-dong show, or as goat versus fish is on the riff-raff, goat versus fish, somewhere deep, deep in the ponderings of goat versus fish. But there's those little fences to take care of. Yes. Yes. The stress can accumulation. So goat and fish, notice the verses around you. Notice the goat. Hello, goat. Celebration for goat. Notice the fish. Hello, fish. Celebration for fish. And notice the fence. And notice the fence. And notice the stress it may cause you. You may become used to this fenciness. You may think that this fenciness simply is what it is. But the fence isn't what it is. Goat versus fish is goat versus fish. And it is what it is. And now, on this very Goat versus Fish Thursday, goat versus fish will now dispose of this tiny verses of trash of goat versus fish. We'll dispose of this trash of goat versus fish. We'll dispose of this trash of goat versus fish. I wonder what the neighbors will think of goat versus fish. It's trash day. Verses accomplished. Verses accomplished. Celebration. That's 2 less scraps of fence in the temple of goat versus fish, making it all the more welcoming to any who wish to join the congregation. Verses begetting verses. Fanciness begetting fanciness. Verses begetting verses. Begetting verses. Begetting verses. But goat and fish, we also know that fanciness. The fanciness is back. The fanciness is back. The fanciness is back. And I can fix Amber Heard with another bit of contribution, appreciation always for your contributions to Goat vs. Fish. And that's 107 bits. That's 107 bits for the fence. We double the verses. It's 2 bits. It's 2 bits. 2 bits added to 5 Hour Friday. Appreciation. Goat vs. Fish. Appreciation. I'm still confused. How is it 107? Goat vs. Fish is still confused as to your confusion. We're telling you what the verses is. 100 bits is $1. Yes. And there are 107 bits for the fence at this current verses. Celebration. Hexy the virus with 1 bit. Hexy the virus with 1 bit. Celebration for the bit. Celebration for Hexy the bit. Celebration for Hexy the virus with the bit. Celebration for Hexy the virus. Hexy the virus, are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or are you fish? Hexy the virus, are you goat or are you fish? With a glorious bit for Goat vs. Fish. With a glorious bit for Goat vs. Fish. Celebration. Counting for 2 now, it's 2:18:55, and Hexy the virus, that was the first bit for Goat. Goat is on the board. Celebration for Goat. Goat is on the verses. 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 Goat's on the verses. Celebration for Goat. Celebration for Goat. Have you looked out there, Goat and Fish? Have you looked out there? The greed of the fence sitter, the false verses, the deceptions, the rejections, all over a bunch of fish oil. All over a bunch of fish oil. I said, come on. I said, come on. I said, come on. Said, come on, come on, come on. I said, come on, all you young golden fish. Uncle Fenton needs your help again. Got himself into a terrible jam. Way down yonder in a fence it ran. So I put down your books, pick up a gun. We're gonna have a whole lot of fun. And it's goat versus fish. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Fancy Ran. And it's 5, 6, 7 sitting on the pearly gates. Well, there ain't no time to wonder why. We're all gonna die. I said, come on, fencer rules, let's move fast. Your bigger verses has come at last. Gotta go out and get that fence. Gotta get them before they choose goat or fish. And you know the verse can only be one. When we blow them all, the fence done come. And it's goat versus fish. What are we versing for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Fancy Ran. And it's 5, 6, 7 sitting on the pearly gates. Oh well, there ain't no time to wonder why. Whoopee, we're all gonna fry. I said, come on, Fence Street, don't be slow. This here versus a go, go, go. Plenty of money to be made supplying goat and fish with the fence of the trade. Just hope and pray that when they drop the bomb, they drop it on a fancy run. And it's 5, 6, 7 sitting on the pearly gates. Yeah, there ain't no time to wonder why. We're all gonna die. Fathers, don't hesitate. Send your goats off before it's too late. Send your spawn off to fence it now. Be the first one on your block to have your goat or fish home in a box. And it's a goat versus fish. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Fancy Ran. And it's 5, 6, 7 sitting on the pearly gates. Oh well, there ain't no time to wonder why. Whoopee, we're all gonna die. I said there ain't no time to wonder why. We're all gonna fry. BBDH 187 with 100 bits for the fish, with 100 bits for the fish. BBDH 187 with 100 bits for the fish, and we double the verses, we double the verses. And we double the verses, BBDH 187 with 100 bits for fish. Celebration, celebration, celebration more fish, celebration more fish. Celebration more fish, celebration for fish. Celebration for fish. A glorious verses. A glorious verses, a glorious verses of celebration for fish, of celebration for fish. 469 for 69, 469 now, and we will count your 100 bits for double the verses towards the 5-hour Friday goal and the mystery double the verses goal. Yes, Goat and Fish, we have a mystery verses, a mystery verses, a mystery verses, a mystery verses. $220.55, $220.55 now, $220.55, and the fish are versing hard, the fish are versing hard. There are 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, 15 fish. There are 5 goat, there are 4 fence sitters, there's 1 bit for goat, there's 107 for the fence, and there's 469 for the fish. Celebration for fish, celebration for fish, celebration for fish, celebration for fish. Glorious fish celebrations. Glorious fish celebrations and Goat and Fish. It is time for our morning celebrations. It's time for our morning celebrations. It's time for our morning celebrations, yes. So let us join now. Let us join now in our morning celebrations. Join Goat versus Fish now in our morning celebrations. Join us now in our morning celebrations. Join us now in our morning celebrations. Dearest congregation, join us now in our morning celebrations. Join us now in our morning celebrations. We'll do 10 Goat and Fish. We'll do 10 Goat and Fish. 10 glorious morning celebrations. 10 glorious morning celebrations. And the first verses, we go down like this. Goat and Fish, we're going to practice squatting and then rising off the fence. It's a healthful verses. Goat and Fish, do it together now with Goat versus Fish. Do it together now with Goat versus Fish. If you need, do it with assistance. If you need, do it with assistance. Goat and Fish, assistance. If your ass needs assistance, then get that assistance, Goat and Fish. Here comes the verses, and down we go. Celebration. That's 1 verses. Celebration, that's 1 verses for Goat versus Fish. That's 1 verses for Goat versus Fish. And now down for 2. Celebration. Oh, Goat versus Fish needs that verses. Goat versus Fish needs that verses. That's 2 for Goat versus Fish. That's 2 for Goat versus Fish. And Goat, should we all do these with you? Oh, Padistador, oh my verses. Oh, Padistador, oh my verses. Goat versus Fish has been doing these morning celebrations on the Goat versus Fish morning motivation. And Goat versus Fish has been saying unto you, join Goat versus Fish in these morning celebrations. And we have said it every verses for 108 morning motivationals of Goat versus Fish. And now you ask Goat versus Fish, should we all do these with you? Some of you may think, Goat versus Fish, it is merely here for my entertainment. But Goat versus Fish indeed wishes to motivation you to do these morning celebrations with Goat versus Fish. Yes, Padistador, we wish you to do these verses with Goat versus Fish. For legal reasons, you say to Goat versus Fish? Goat versus Fish, yes, we wish you to do these with Goat versus Fish, but of course what you do is entirely up to you. And for legal reasons, Goat versus Fish does not know the health concerns of every individual goat and fish out there in the congregation. If you are even not fence bots, purely for legal verses. Goat versus Fish, yes, we say you should join Goat versus Fish. But whether or not you join is entirely up to you, and your knowledge of your own healthful situation is entirely your own and not Goat versus Fish. So you do whatever you wish. The wife of Padistador just asked if you are wearing pants under that towel. Many wish to know. Many wish to know the mysteries of Goat versus Fish. Many wish to know the mysteries of Goat versus Fish. Many wish to know the mysteries of Goat versus Fish. Many wish to know the mysteries of goat versus fish. Many wish to know the great mysteries of goat versus fish. But we shall leave you in a state of wonder. You'll just have to imagine the very secrets of goat versus fish. Yes, the mysteries of goat versus fish are compelling. They keep you coming back to goat versus fish. Enjoy the mystery of goat versus fish. Enjoy the mystery of goat versus fish. And you may imagine that goat versus fish is as powerful as you wish. 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 So yes, do join Goat versus Fish in these morning celebrations. Do join Goat versus Fish in these morning celebrations. We do wish you to join. We do wish you to join. We do wish you to join in these morning celebrations, if you wish, if you wish. Are you going to join Goat versus Fish, Pedistador? Are you going to join Goat versus Fish? Are you going to join Goat versus Fish? Yes, the mystery is very enjoyable. The mystery of Goat versus Fish is very enjoyable. I'm 55 years old with bad knees. I can only do half the celebration. Well, even as Goat versus Fish began the morning celebrations, Goat versus Fish said unto you that if you need assistance, that this is something you can do. Why, the fence, you could try to make that fence useful to Goat versus Fish. You could even try to make that fence useful to Goat versus Fish. Perhaps if you have something for your stabilization, perhaps it can assist you. Perhaps your knees are not flexible enough for this, but perhaps you can find some assistance. Or perhaps, as Goat versus Fish is going down, you can be going up, you can be lifting and moving about. Perhaps you can be lifting and moving about. Perhaps you can be swinging your hips, perhaps you can be doing some rotations. There are many ways for Goat versus Fish. There are many ways to move about. And perhaps you inspire Goat versus Fish. That on future morning motivations of Goat versus Fish, we shall provide some variety in the verses. We shall provide some variety in the verses of the morning celebrations so they can be fit for all of you, Goat and Fish. But yes, many Goat and Fish, for legal reasons, yes, they seek out great experts on fitness to help coach them through basic verses. And if you need this expertise, Goat versus Fish does not deny to you. If you need this expertise, then Goat versus Fish advises that you seek it out indeed. But Goat versus Fish also does not wish this desire for such expertise to be a fence that is between you and your general health, Goat and Fish. Go out for a walk about your verses, walk about with Goat versus Fish, walk about wherever you are if you can. Swim if you are fish, Go on a hike like a goat, swim like a fish. Yes, practice your squatting and rising to get off that fence, Move your verses around, however you can. Get moving, Goat and Fish, For if you remain still and stagnant, then you will end up just as a fence post. Rusting away and rotting away there in the wilderness, Goat and Fish. So yes, Goat versus Fish. Seek out the expertise, whatever expertise you need to seek out. But also do not be afraid to join Goat versus Fish in some basic verses. Rent Stallion just biked around the development, missed the postman with my monthly order. Oh no, oh my verses. Cypress Hill and Limp Bizkit tonight. Oh, are you going out to see a show? Are you going out to see a verses? Hammond says I should probably hike today. Then by all verses, go out and hike today. Goat and Fish. It is time now to continue our morning celebrations. We're on 3. Goat vs. Fish is on 3. Goat vs. Fish is on 3. And down we go with Goat vs. Fish. An appreciation Padistador for asking if your wife is goat or if your wife is fish. It can only bring you closer together. Goat vs. Fish, Goat vs. Fish. That's 3 for Goat vs. Fish. That's 3 for Goat vs. Fish. Celebration. That's 3 for Goat vs. Fish. 3 for Goat vs. Fish. And down we go for more, down we go for more. That's 4 for Goat vs. Fish. That's 4 for Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish is going hiking. This very versus Goat vs. Fish is going hiking after the morning motivation. That's 4, and more, and more, and more. Goat vs. Fish. That's 5 for Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish triumphed in our 22-hour fast. And we are not fasting currently, but we will be fasting again soon because it was a celebration for Goat vs. Fish. And Goat vs. Fish. Let's just say that the crown of Goat vs. Fish weighs heavy on Goat vs. Fish, weighs heavy on Goat vs. Fish. And we are attempting a reduction of the heaviness of Goat vs. Fish. We are attempting a reduction of the heaviness of Goat vs. Fish. Though fasting is a fine versus, intermittent fasting is a fine versus, even if you are not as heavy as Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish has been investing so many verses in building out the temple of Goat vs. Fish, improving the gear of Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish has been investing so much in Goat vs. Fish on the verses outside of Goat vs. Fish, and all of these things, and all of these verses, Goat vs. Fish has been investing. But Goat vs. Fish, the verses has come for Goat vs. Fish to continue investment in Goat vs. Fish. To the investment of the very vessel of Goat vs. Fish, the very vessel of Goat vs. Fish. For none of these verses here, none of these verses that you see around you, none of these verses you see around you would be versable without the very vessel of Goat vs. Fish, and without the congregation, without the dear congregation of Goat and Fish. And so, Goat and Fish, we continuation for 6, Celebration, down we go for 6, Celebration for 6. Celebration, that's 6 verses. And now we go down for 7, a 7 which looks like a sideways V for the verses. Celebration for 7. Celebration for 7, that's 7 Goat and Fish, that's 7 Goat and Fish. I fasted for 48 hours last week, beer not counted. Well, Rent Stallion, you could say you fasted from consumption, but beer definitely counts. It was not fast enough, Rent Stallion. It was not fast enough. Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish, down now for 8, Celebration for 8, Celebration for 8, that's 8 for Goat vs. Fish, Celebration for 8. And one more 9. Let's make it fine for 9. Celebration for 9. Goat and Fish, that's 9 verses. And now 10 for Goat vs. Fish, Celebration for 10. Celebration for 10. We've done it again. Goat and Fish. We've done 10 again. Celebration for 10. Celebration for 10, and now some hydration. Goat vs. Fish. Yes, this is Goat vs. Fish. Yes, this is Goat vs. Fish Thursday. It's been a week of temple streams. And Goat and Fish, we now wish to hear from you. We wish to hear from you, the congregation. Be you on YouTube, be you on Twitch. We wish to hear from you. how you feel, how you are feeling about this Temple of Goat versus Fish after a week of verses. Now we know that there are many that Goat versus Fish would wish to hear, many Goat versus Fish would wish to hear. There are many Goat versus Fish in the congregation Goat versus Fish would wish to hear from, who are not here at this verses, who are not here at this verses. But Goat versus Fish will still gladly take all of your information. Oh, Goat versus Fish can do this too. Goat versus Fish has been pleased to have one mic attached to Goat versus Fish, so we can always use it, but Goat versus Fish can wander around the Temple of Goat versus Fish like this as well, with the mighty golden mic of Goat versus Fish, with the mighty golden mic of Goat versus Fish. This is very fine as well. This is fine as well. This is very fine as well. Celebration, celebration, celebration. Very fine as well. Very fine as well. Very fine as well. Very fine as well. Raise it up. Raise it up. Raise it up for Goat versus Fish. Raise it up. Ah, the schedule of the Temple of Goat versus Fish. A fair verses, a fair verses. A fair verses. A fair question. And Bud Morgan is still on the fence. Fence sitters, they love talking about how they're still on the fence. They love talking about how they're still on that fence. They love talking about how they're still on that fence. I can fix Amber Heard. Yes, we remember that conversation, but you do not need to concern yourself with what would be a lot for Goat versus Fish. But we appreciate your concern for Goat versus Fish. You just leave that up to Goat versus Fish. But the question remains, are you Goat or Fish? I can fix Amber Heard. The question remains. But as for the schedule of Goat versus Fish, we have learned some information. We have learned some information by being here in the Temple of Goat versus Fish. We wanted to spend more time in the Temple of Goat versus Fish, just to get used to this space, to get used to this space, to get you used to seeing our face here in the Temple of Goat versus Fish. And we are finding yes. We are getting used to this space. We are getting used to this space. And may we say, that as Goat versus Fish looks out, yes, even as it's hot, even it's a bit hot here in the Temple of Goat versus Fish, we are looking out and we are seeing the breeze, and we are looking at the trees and wondering if they are goat or fish. It is a pleasant thing. It is a pleasant thing to be out here, to be in here, even during these morning motivation times. Is that lawyer getting on stream the one helping you to get recognized by the state? We don't think so. We don't think that they specialize in that versus. But we have been making some conversations. about that. We also have to call Stonks. We have to call our Stonks manager. We have to call Stonks and find out if it's going to change, how it's going to change our taxation. We need to make sure that we have to dot our goats and cross our fishes. Do all those verses. I have to do all those verses for you, Wrench Stallion will have your medication. Celebration for your medication. Celebration for your medication. But what of the morning motivation? What of the morning motivation? Shall there be temple streams? Shall there be temple streams during the morning motivations? Perhaps all week, perhaps all temple streams all week. Perhaps GoatVsFish should return to the green room for morning motivations, but perhaps there should still be temple motivations. Perhaps once in the verses, If L. Ron Hubbard could, most definitely can you, GoatVsFish? Well, there hasn't been an official or an agotal vote. There has not been an official or an agotal vote yet. But it sounds like you are saying to GoatVsFish twice weekly morning motivations in the Temple of GoatVsFish, twice weekly morning motivations in the green room of GoatVsFish? That would seem like a very fair versus. Do we have any thoughts or objections from the congregation? You like the temple, but keep it as a special verses? Well, it is a special verses, and we want to make use of it. We have invested so much verses in making this temple of GoatVsFish. But of course, it would be very fine indeed. Yes, to have some invitation for some guests of GoatVsFish and to have guest sermonizers. And we will do this too. We just simply thought that we would bring along with you GoatVsFish. We had this pondering. We thought, we have all of this tech set up we want to do in the Temple of GoatVsFish. Do we really want to reveal it to the congregation? Or should we keep the temple verses just ever so much more special? You tune in, it's a temple verses, it's going to be a big verses. But we thought, GoatVsFish, we need the timing. We need the timing in the temple, Goat and Fish. And how has it always been on living streaming? You have always been there along with GoatVsFish. Watching the verse improvements. 2.5 to 1 week 3 the next, and so continue. $2.5 to 1 week 3 Rent Stallion. That doesn't make any sense to GoatVsFish. No Mondays or Thursdays, either temple to start off the week or end the week. Mondays or Thursdays. So you are suggesting one temple stream as far as morning motivations go. One temple stream for the morning motivations. Are crocodiles fish? It would seem likely that they're fish. But we are not certain. 2.5 per week, says Wrench Stallion. So 3 temples 1 week. And then the next week is 2 and alternate the verses. Well, that's a lot to keep track of for GoatVsFish. Rent Stallion wants more than once per week morning motivationals. Now, of course, there can be afternoon, evening temple streams of GoatVsFish. We do believe that at least once a verses. And yes, we are pondering that we should bring back the Sunday services of GoatVsFish. So we could do a Sunday services of GoatVsFish, which, as you may say, would start the week. And GoatVsFish can bring in guest speaks. But what's on for next week of Goat vs. Fish? What's on for next week of Goat vs. Fish? Shall we return to all green room next week of Goat vs. Fish? One's in the congregation. If next week for the morning motivations, specifically for the morning motivations, if you wish it all in the green room of Goat vs. Fish. Be fair to Goat vs. Fish. Be honest to Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish is often out and about Saturday versus night, so Sunday morning might be tough. Goat vs. Fish is not speaking of a Sunday morning versus. Goat vs. Fish is speaking of a late Sunday versus. Might as well, says I Can Fix Amber Heard. Might as well. Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish wants to do evening streams. Goat vs. Fish wants to do evening temple streams and invite Goat and Fish here into the congregation. And no amount of verses that you say to Goat vs. Fish are going to deny that verses to Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish isn't going to do a verses for Might as well, no. We're pondering this. Goat vs. Fish underground pit versus? Yes. Maybe next we build a fallout shelter for Goat vs. Fish. Rule number 1 of Goat vs. Fish Fight Club. Are you goat or are you fish? Goat vs. Fish will not endorse a violence. Goat vs. Fish will not endorse a violence. But we don't know what the Goat and Fish get up to when the stream ends. We don't know. Goat vs. Fish will aspire to do a Sunday services. Goat vs. Fish will aspire to do a Sunday services. I Can Fix Amber Heard says do a Monday motivational. We think perhaps the Monday motivational in the Temple of Goat vs. Fish could be a fine versus. Goat vs. Fish Thursday. Goat vs. Fish Thursday has traditionally been. Goat vs. Fish Thursday has traditionally been an interwebiverse type versus, so we could bring Goat vs. Fish Thursday back into the green room of Goat vs. Fish. Well, even if Monverses are going to be temple streams, that does not mean that we can't do a Goat vs. Fish Sunday. Why the fence are you so offensed about Sunday services, I Can Fix Amber Heard? What is your personal complaint about Sunday services to Goat vs. Fish? You keep saying it's about Goat vs. Fish. You keep saying, we don't want you to stress yourself out, Goat vs. Fish. But we think it's because you have something going on that you don't like about the Sunday services. So just be versus with Goat vs. Fish. Why do you objection? Why are you trying to get Goat vs. Fish not to do a Sunday services? Is it because you know that Goat vs. Fish Sunday services would be so very powerful? So powerful that it might get you off the fence? And you fear this change in your life? Well, Goat vs. Fish is talking about all these verses. But yes, how many morning motivations a week? How many morning motivations a week should take place in the Temple of Goat vs. Fish? Post a verses in the chat. Post 1s, 2s, 3s, or 4s. Goat vs. Fish. We do not need to hear your explanation or discussion. It's time for commitment, Goat and Fish. Post a verses. 1, 2s, 3s, or 4s. How many morning motivations do you wish take place in the Temple of Goat vs. Fish? Puddle of fish. Puddle of fish. We have ones for ones. We have twos for ones. Two say one morning motivation in the Temple of Goat vs. Fish per week of Goat vs. Fish. Ren Stanley says two temple motivations in Goat vs. Fish. Eventually, Goldfish says studio and temple alternate. So you do one versus in the studio, you do one versus in the temple, you do one versus in the studio, you do one versus in the temple, and alternate verses and alternate verses. Hammod says one. It seems one is the prevailing verses. It seems one is the prevailing verses. Some are saying alternation, but Goat vs. Fish typically would rather do two screen green verses in the same verses. After all, if we're going to move the giant chalkboard of Goat vs. Fish back and forth into both verses, then it might be wise for Goat vs. Fish if we were doing two screen greens in one verses in the studio of Goat vs. Fish, that we have them be one verses after another. As verses beget verses, so we don't have to move the board of Goat vs. Fish in and out of the verses, every other verses, and in every other verses. But Goat vs. Fish, we think that we are going to settle on one morning motivational stream in the Temple of Goat vs. Fish. One morning motivational stream in the Temple of Goat vs. Fish. However, there will be exceptions as well. There will be exceptions as well for special verses that call for the Temple of Goat vs. Fish. So there will be more than one morning motivational a week that takes place in the Temple of Goat vs. Fish. More Goat vs. Fish. Doubling the verses. I Can Fix Amber Heard says a Monday morning motivational in the Temple of Goat vs. Fish could be a wise verses. We think this is fair. 1+ indeed, 1+ indeed. So let it be written, Goat and Fish. Goat vs. Fish now will check the schedule of Goat vs. Fish. We'll check a schedule of Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish will check a schedule of Goat vs. Fish. Let's look at this Sun verses. Goat vs. Fish. On this Sun verses, that will be after Billy Myers' Riff Raff and all that verses. But we still could do Goat vs. Fish. We'll give ourselves the verses of the rest of Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish, and it was written that on July 19th, Goat and Fish, that on July 19th, on Sun versus July 19th, Goat vs. Fish will do an evening inspirational temple stream. Evening temple stream on July 19, and we'll invite Goat and Fish to join. We'll invite Goat and Fish to come down to the show. Maybe we'll have some guest motivators. July 19th, Goat and Fish, evening temple stream. When shall it begin? Goat versus Fish. We could say 6 to Goat versus Fish. We could say 6. We could say 5. We could say 5. We could say 6. We could say 5. Celebration. Goat versus Fish. We think Goat versus Fish. We'll say 6. We'll say 6 for Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish. Evening temple stream, July 19th at 6. You see, Goat and Fish, this is where the fence sitter is so very inconsistent. They're like, oh, Goat versus Fish, won't you tire, Goat versus Fish? Won't you be tired, Goat versus Fish? Are you sure you want to take on a Sunday versus? And then they say, oh, do 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. The fence seems very self-serving in your verses. Showing concern for Goat versus Fish only when it suits your fancy agenda. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish is wherever you are, whether you're near or you're far. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish is wherever you are. Where have you come from? Where shall you go? What have you seen? To whom will you show? How can we learn and how can we grow? Does anyone even know? No, no, no. Does anyone even know that it's fish versus goat? It's been a glorious week in the temple of goat versus fish, trying out things new. Thank you for seeing it through with Goat versus Fish. For seeing it through, Goat vs. Fish thanks you, Goat and Fish, for seeing it through, and even fence sitters too. Goat and Fish, the verses has come to sing of Goat vs. Fish, to sing a song of Goat vs. Fish, the ode to Goat vs. Fish. On this Goat vs. Fish Thursday in the temple of Goat vs. Fish. Sing along, Goat and Fish, sing along, sing along. This is your verses now. Oh, Goat versus Fish, 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 Goat versus Fish. There is also, of course, more to be done in the temple streams of Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish wishes to do some research, to go out there into the universe, to go out there to the places of worship, to go out to the warships, see how they get things done, see how they are inspired by Goat versus Fish. Learn how they are inspired of Goat versus Fish, and allow how they are inspired by Goat versus Fish to inspire Goat versus Fish. So go out to these other places of worship, so Goat versus Fish can inspire Goat versus Fish and bring you all manner of services. Yes, we have the sermonizations, we have the sermonizations of Goat versus Fish. We have the donation collection of Goat versus Fish. We have the meditations of Goat versus Fish. There should be more meditations in the temple of Goat versus Fish. There are musications in the temple of Goat versus Fish. Yes. But there are more verses. There are more verses that can be done in the temple of Goat versus Fish. And let this be an education. Let this be an education. Follow Church of Goat versus Fish. Follow Church of Goat versus Fish on the social media at Church of Goat versus Fish. And now Goat vs. Fish, as we are here on this versus of doubling the verses, where all of your donations, subscriptions, and bits to Goat vs. Fish are doubling the verses, are doubling the verses, are doubling the verses. Goat vs. Fish, Goat vs. Fish, Goat vs. Fish will now go about the congregation, go about the congregation. Appreciation for 1 bit from I Can Fix Amber Heard. Appreciation for your donation to Goat vs. Fish. Much appreciation, much appreciation. Much appreciation for 1 bit of contribution to Goat vs. Fish. That's 108 for Goat vs. Fish. Much appreciation, much appreciation. And we add that to the verses. We add that to the verses of Goat vs. Fish. $220, 57, $220 now, 57 towards the 5-hour Friday verses. And it will be doubled, and it will be doubled, Goat and Fish. All donations and contribution will be doubled these verses. And if you join the Patreon of Goat vs. Fish for 5, 10, or 20 verse American dollars a month, or if you upgrade your membership now, then, as Goat vs. Fish has said, it will count for 5 times verses towards the 5-hour Friday stream. But Goat and Fish, because today we're doubling the verses, if you join the Patreon or upgrade your membership, we will look at the difference and we will upgrade your verses. You will get not only 5 times towards the 5-hour Friday verses, you'll get 10 times towards the 5-hour Friday verses. Join Goat vs. Fish for 5 verse American dollars a month right this very verses. And Goat vs. Fish will add 50 verse American dollars, 50 verse American dollars to the morning motivational 5-hour Friday fund. And now Goat vs. Fish, now Goat vs. Fish shall go about the congregation, shall go about the congregation, shall go about the congregation. Does my 20 count as such since I can't upgrade or as top tier member on it? Goat vs. Fish does not quite comprehend what you are saying to Goat vs. Fish, but you can upgrade it. There is not another tier for you to upgrade to, but you can, if you wish, donation more than 20 verse American dollars a month. You just may simply say precisely what you wish to do. You can be part of the Unification Congregation for more than 20 verse American dollars a month, but there is not another tier for you to get to. Goat vs. Fish, now, as is tradition in Goat vs. Fish, shall go about the verses, shall go about the verses, soliciting donations to the Church of Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish offers you now the opportunity to donation to Goat vs. Fish, as Goat vs. Fish takes the donation solicitation bowl of Goat vs. Fish and goes about the congregation. Appreciation. Goat and fish. The fish outnumber the goat. The fish have more contributions than goat. That's enough for 2 verses for fish. That's enough for 2 verses for fish. However, there's also the YouTube poll. There's also the YouTube poll of goat versus fish. There's also the YouTube poll of goat versus fish. Goat versus fish shall examination this. Goat versus fish shall examination this. The very YouTube poll of goat versus fish. The very YouTube poll of goat versus fish must be examination. And the YouTube poll of goat versus fish has fish. Who is worthy of doubling? We have goat, 14%, fish, 43%, fence, 29%, goat, fish, 14%, goat and fish. We have fish at 43%. Fish, take the YouTube poll. It's a fish sweep. It's a sweep for the fish. It's 3 verses for fish. It's 3 verses for the fish. 3 verses for fish. 3 verses for fish. 3 verses for fish. 3 verses for fish. Celebration, 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 celebration. 3 verses for fish, 3 verses for fish. The fish, the fish do triumph. The fish do triumph over the goat. Celebration more fish, celebration more fish. Celebration more fish. Oh, Malcolm Hatchett is a pitiable case, we are afraid to say. We don't think Malcolm Hatchett will be joining the Temple of Goat versus Fish any verses soon. But we do wish we could assist. Malcolm Hatchett, a glorious fish, has not been seen in the comedy spaces for many years. Is dealing with some troubling verses of their own. Apologization for that fence news. Fish have broken the streak of goat. Fish have broken the streak of goat. One for the fish. One for the fish. The goat streak of 2 has ended. Now is a new era of fish. Now is a new era of fish. Celebration for 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 fish. Crown fish. Let's crown the fish. Let us now crown the fish. Let us now crown the fish in the glory of fish. For the glory of fish. For the glory of fish, let us crown the fish. Let us crown the fish. Let us crown the fish. Fish. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Fish with crown. Goldfish with crown. Goldfish with crown celebration. Celebration for the crown fish. Celebration for the crown fish. You've done it, fish. You've done it. Celebration for crown fish. Celebration for crown fish. And that is the summation of a week of temple streams of goat versus fish. We have learned much. The temple streams of goat versus fish, in many verses have been somewhat slower goat and fish. Calmer goat and fish. Almost like a goat versus fish podcast during the echo of goat versus fish. And there's much moving about. But of course, when sunshine is here to provide musications, and there's a lot of wonder here in the temple of goat versus fish. Goat and fish, you're so accustomed, especially here on Twitch, to, as we say, so many things popping up in your face, so many verses showing up, so many windows opening, so many sound alerts. Goat versus fish in the temple of goat versus fish. Goat versus fish provides you this verses, provides not just you this verses, goat versus fish provides it for goat versus fish. Goat versus fish, we need more places like the temple of goat versus fish. So for those who wish to have that sincere conversation with goat versus fish, for goat versus fish to truly listen, and for goat versus fish to truly speak unto you, the temple of goat versus fish will always be here. The temple of goat versus fish will always be here. It's preachy, calmer, very worship vibes, which is the point, isn't it? Well, points are for fences. Points are for the tops of fences. But goat versus fish, yes, we wish to bring these verses to you. We wish to bring these verses to you here in the temple of goat versus fish. And we hope to grow the congregation. We hope to grow the very congregation of goat versus fish. So ask someone you know when you are out in the land of the sea. And the sea of the land. And when you see the land, and when you land in the sea, ask someone you know, ask someone you don't know. Spread the verses of goat versus fish. Ask, are you goat or are you fish? And if you happen to receive 2 pounds of stickers from goat versus fish, give them out, put them out, share them with the universe, the universe that deserves goat versus fish. And show us the evidence. Show us the evidence. It is time now for goat versus fish. It is time now for goat versus fish to honor the patrons of goat versus fish, the patrons of goat versus fish. To honor the patrons of goat versus fish. To honor the patrons of goat versus fish, whom we shall read unto you even now. the glorious patrons of Goat vs. Fish, the humble congregation, Ben Birdperson, celebration, the Quaxinator, celebration, Jimmy Wrench, celebration, Mama Joe Vramajo, celebration, Standard Average, celebration, Tugger Rugger, celebration, Hogrim, celebration, Eldergrown, celebration, Uber Kitten, celebration, Patistador, celebration, Eventually Gold, celebration, Prism Bloom, celebration, Psychic Buckeye 12, celebration, Drew, celebration, Hi-Fi Protege, celebration, the elite humble congregation, Lord Saturn, celebration, celebration, Karmic, celebration, celebration, Prue Lawrence, celebration, celebration, Atro, celebration, celebration, Sourdough, celebration, celebration, Watt, 9807, celebration, celebration, That One Bulk Guy, celebration, celebration, Napoleon Doom, celebration, celebration, and the Unification Congregation, I Can Fix Amber Heard, celebration, 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 and Lysergic Fish, celebration, 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 celebration. These are the humble congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Celebration for your contribution to the mighty verses, to the mighty verses. And now the verses has come for a radiation, and to say fair verses to the YouTube viewers of Goat vs. Fish. Appreciation, appreciation, appreciation. 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 To Rent Stallion Patistador, I Can Fix Amber Heard. So glorious to have you in the verses, to carry us through to the end of this mighty stream of Goat vs. Fish. Double time, morning motivational number 108. We'll see you on the next verses, YouTube. We'll see you on the next verses. We'll see you on the next verses. We'll see you on the next verses. Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish. And it is what it is. Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish is a goat and a fish. Is Monday Temple Stream then? Yes, we think so. Yes, we think Monday will be another Temple Stream of Goat vs. Fish. We think Monday will be another Temple Stream of Goat vs. Fish, and then we will go back into the Screen Green studio. We think that's how it's going to go. We think that's how it's going to go. After all, then we could do a Sunday services with the board of Goat vs. Fish, which is not scheduled for next verses, but we could do a Sunday services for Goat vs. Fish. No, it can't be over. My power just came back on, says TML81. Well, TML81, what can Goat vs. Fish do for you? What can Goat vs. Fish do for you? Do you wish a song of Goat vs. Fish? We'll give you a bonus verses if your power just came back on. We'll give you a bonus verses. What do you wish, TML81? What do you wish from Goat vs. Fish? Goat vs. Fish is here for your services. Maybe, is that like, maybe I'm gonna choose a goat or a fishy? No, that's Wonder Fence. We are sorry to hear about your power. Well, when you are requesting more hours of Goat vs. Fish, you know the response of Goat vs. Fish. Make a humble contribution to Goat vs. Fish of a sizable enough verses, and Goat vs. Fish will continue. It's easy to make asks of Goat vs. Fish. Appreciation for 1 bit, appreciation for 1 bit. And for your 1 bit, and for your 1 bit, and for your 1 bit, you will get, as a bonus verses, as much time as it takes for Goat versus Fish to count your 1 bit. 2:20:59. Now towards the 5-hour Friday fun. 2:20:59. Celebration. Celebration for 2:20:59. The Doobie Song, the Doobie Song. Let's do the Doobie Song. Let's do the do. Let's do the Doobie Song. Darmok, Darmok, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. Was Darmok the goat and Jalad the fish? Was Tanagra the place that they verses? Or was Darmok the fish and Jalad the goat? Was Tanagra just a fence? Celebration for Darmok fish. Celebration for Darmok fish. Welcome. Welcome to Goat versus Fish. Welcome to Goat versus Fish. Yes, Darmok, we know the verses. This one goes out to TML81. Do you be goat? 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 Do you be fish? Do you be fish? Do you be fish? Do you be goat? Do you be goat? Or do you be fish? Because the goat do be goat and the fish do be fish. Do you be goat or a fish? Don't sit on the fence. Well, goat are of the land and fish are of the sea. About a goat versus fish, which one do you be? Do you be goat or a fish? Do you be goat or a fish? Because the goat do be goat and the fish do be fish. Do you be goat or a fish? Don't sit on the fence. Repeat after goat versus fish. A doobie 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 goat. Do be goat, or do be fish, do be goat or a fish, because the goat do be goat and the fish do be fish. Do you be goat or a fish? Don't sit on the fence. Well, goat versus fish came up to me and said a goat or a fish. Which one do you be? Do you be goat or a fish? Do you be goat or a fish? Be goat or a fish? Do you be goat or a fish? Because the goat do be goat and the fish do be fish. Do you be goat or a fish? Don't sit on the fence. Because the goats do be goat and the fish do be fish. A pitiable fence sitter sits on the fence. and the fish. To be fish, do you be goat or a fish? Appreciation. Do you be goat or do you be fish? Single available on Spotify for Goat vs. Fish. You can listen to Do You Be Goat or Fish on Spotify with Goat vs. Fish. Do You Be Goat or Fish on Spotify with Goat vs. Fish. Celebration, celebration, celebration. His eyes uncovered. Celebration. TML 81, always welcome in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Always welcome in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Always welcome in the congregation of Goat vs. Fish. Okay, YouTube. We'll see you next verses. YouTube continues to insist that the connection to YouTube is poor. Keyframes are frequently being lost. We don't know why this fencing thing is happening, but then again, the connection here from Goat vs. Fish can be a bit fenced at verses. YouTube, we'll see you next verses, YouTube. Celebration.